It's taking a minute to connect these days. What's wrong with it? Okay, let me make sure we're in here. We are in there. Oh, and we're live already. That's a mess. All right, well, let's get started. Hey, we're going beyond basic business growth information because that is already all across YouTube, including our past morning show episodes. We are taking you to the next level. We're going to make it make sense today. And it's going to start with discussion questions. All right. So the discussion questions are, how do you know what is actually creating revenue in your business? If I ask you which part of your business generated the most revenue last month, could you tell me what and why? Last but not least, how much of your business strategy is based on what you know versus what you think? Okay, so those are the discussion questions. They're giving you a hint on what the discussion is going to be about today. However, we're going to start with, I think I'm going to start with Miss Shawana Kennedy Media. I know she thought she was going to be last, but no, we're going to pop her out and start with her first. So you want to answer the questions one by one, Shawana, or do you want to give like this all-encompassing answer?
Good morning, Shay. Good
Good
morning. And yes,
morning.
you know my eyebrows are touching. Um, I'm going to do them one by one. Let's see.
All right.
First question. How do I know, look, what's actually creating revenue? Because I look at my bank statement every day. Yes, 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 yes. But seriously, yeah, I know by actually truly looking at the actual clients that do pay, so I pay attention to who is paying. When I think about where they came from, it is for me, it's a combination of referrals and relationship. Uh, because some of those they have come by way of relationship and getting to know people, and then there were a few that has come in when I think about discovery calls themselves. Because a couple folks, it was the relationships that we had, and them observing what was being done and realizing that they didn't need to be handling that that part of their content creation.
Mm-hmm.
So they take advantage of it being done for them.
Okay.
Where's that other question?
If I asked you which part of your business generated the most revenue last month, could you tell me what and why?
Yes, I could. And why? In this particular case, when I think about the clients, is because of certain packages having the tier,
Mm-hmm.
and certain some of my clients they're on a higher tier package. So
Uh-huh.
that's how I can clearly see where that revenue is coming from.
All righty. Cool beans. Last question. How much of your business strategy is based on what you know versus what you think?
All of it is based on the strategy that I know because it's what's been proven and what's working.
Okay. Loving it, loving it. Okay. We're kind of revealing what today's topic is. Let's go to Miss Chantilly. Chantilly, you want to answer the questions one by one or give an all-encompassing answer?
Okay, I'll do one by one. And
Okay.
for me, it's referrals as well. That's where I got most of
Mm-hmm.
my revenue last month. Why? Um, I think it's because of relationship and accuracy of my services. And now my strategy is what I work on because I do get referrals, but I don't have like any what do you call it? I don't have anything built in to reward referrals or
Mm-hmm.
anything or to ask
Okay.
for referrals. So I need to work, get better on that.
Okay, I like that. You brought some new little perspective to it. Let's go to Dr.
Yeah.
Latoya Davis, who just had her birthday a week ago today, but let her say it is all month long. Excuse me, Leo. So, Dr. Toya, would you like to answer the questions one by one, or do you want to give an all-encompassing answer?
I'll do one by one, I guess. So I know what's creating revenue just because I look at my dashboard and go high level. You're able to see the things by product. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then similar to Shawana. So in addition to the stuff that comes in for Go High Level daily, I'm checking my YouTube AdSense revenue and my Amazon sales. So I look at those numbers daily. If which part of my business generated the most revenue last month, could I tell you what and why? Yes, I could, again, because I look at the numbers. And the why, I think I generally look at, there's a spike. So for example, this month, I've had a huge spike in a particular book that's selling. It is like my sales have almost tripled. And I can attribute that to, I had a podcast episode. I was a guest on someone's podcast and we talked the book, right? So I
Yes.
tried to figure out if there's a spike or something, I try to figure out what contributed to that thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's that. And then how much of my business strategy is based on what I know versus what I think. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I like what I know I need to be doing, I am not doing. And it's not because that I don't know it. It's because it's convenient and it's what I've done. And so my goal this month actually is to shift into moving into the knowing, despite the fact that it's pushing me out of my comfort zone and the things that I've done up to this point.
Understood. And I appreciate your honesty. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's go to Dr. Tachi. Dr. Tachi, do you want to answer these questions one by one, or do you want to give one all-encompassing answer? Because I know for one part of your business, you haven't gone into that revenue part yet, but you have been in business where you sold stuff, so you can still kind of answer the question if you would like.
Sure. So for the first, I'll do one by one. And the first one, how do I know what's actually creating revenue is because I'm looking at, so for the part where I'm creating a video and doing social, I'm actually looking at the clients who are paying, and I know, like, just similar to what Shawana said, I know what's coming in and who's paying.
Okay. I love that.
So for which generated the most last month, could you tell what and why? Yes, absolutely, because I'm looking at what it is and why they paid. So, and then how much of the business strategy is based on what you know versus what you think?
Yes.
Basically, it's what I know because it's what has been proven and tested that I have proven and tested. So it's no longer theory in terms of what I think. It's what I know because of actualization.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So their answers to the questions are spot on. And if you haven't figured it out yet, what we're going to talk about today is data-driven revenue. Okay. So, we talk about we're going beyond the basics, but what are the basics? The basics is like lead data, conversion metrics, and growth tracking for revenue decisions, right? So those three things are like the basic formula for data-driven revenue. However, on this show today, we're going to the next level because we do not want you to just collect data. We want you to create revenue intelligence, okay? So your next level of formula is going from reporting results or collecting data to diagnosing your revenue drivers. Okay, notice how the lady said they know which one of their offers is getting more revenue in. So you need to know what are the drivers. So notice that Dr. Toya said, oh, I was on a podcast. It highlighted that one offer, and that's why it sold a lot. Another guest said, in studio guest said, they know that a lot of the referrals came because they networked a lot and things like that. You need to know what is driving revenue to any specific offer at any specific time, okay? Next part of our next level formula is go from historical data, just looking at what has happened in the past, and start doing predictive revenue planning, okay? You need historical data, you just don't stop there. we need to go into predictive revenue planning. Last but not least, we need to go from being data informed with our decisions to doing revenue experimentation. See, this is how we grow. We got to start trying stuff. You take the data that you have and you start trying things based on the data, which makes it less of a risk. It's more of a calculated risk when you're using data, right? Okay, great. Let's get into what this new data-driven revenue formula is going to be. All right. More about going from reporting results to diagnosing revenue drivers. You want to stop just measuring what happened and you want to determine why it happened. What drove the sales? Okay. So basic analytics tell you things like, oh, my revenue has increased this many percent. But if you had a revenue intelligence, you would think more along the lines of revenue increased because this offer converted better from the audience through the acquisition source, which could be the podcast, like Dr. Toya said, after a messaging change, right? So this is why when you don't want to just be willy-nilly changing stuff. Because if you just change things about your offer, about the way you present the offer, about the way you pitch the offer, all of these things, you don't know what to contribute the increase in revenue to. All right. So the intelligence is the knowing. So that's actionable. At this level, you stop treating metrics independently and you start finding out how they connect. What is the relationship between the metrics? All right. So instead of this post got 4,000 views, you need to be saying which content generated qualified people that are inquiring, email subscribers that hopped on my list, sales conversations through, like Shawana said, some discovery calls, or even just who went straight and purchased. That's what we want to know. What is this content doing? Because the views are what we call vanity metrics. Yeah, they make you look good, but they don't always put money in the bank. So we want to know what content generated what. Something that went straight to us getting some money or something that went to us on being on the road to getting money. All right. So we want to ask, what is the source generated for the buyers that got us the highest conversion rate? Because if we know that, then we know what to do when we want higher conversions. What worked the last time? This worked. Okay. Well, to forecast our sales, we say, okay, in the past quarter, these things worked. And so for maybe the low month of this quarter, we're going to try some of those things again to bring revenue up in that quarter. So that's how we can forecast. Okay. So that's that revenue intelligence. So you want to look for revenue drivers, but what are those? Well, it could be, where did you get the sale from? Okay. Again, that could be the podcast. It could be the referral. Okay. It could be, what content did you talk about during the period that you had that increased revenue? It could be, what was the offer that you pitched? Sometimes they say if you want to make more money, you need to make more offers, right? So what was the offer during that time that the revenue increased? What campaign did you use? What marketing campaign? Okay. If you're selling things a different way every time, you need to know which time worked. What was the call to action that you used that might have increased the revenue? What sales event did you host that could have increased revenue in that period of time? What buying segment? Okay. Because we know we got our tofu, mofu, bofu. Which one of them bought more in the last, we're going to say, quarter? Or even which problem, pain point did they have the most when they came in and bought? Okay. Because we can have clients that are all in bofu. They're all ready to make a buying decision, but the pain point that took them over the wire could have been different. Or you could see in your data that most of the people coming to you and talking to you in a discovery call are kind of talking about the same problem. We might need to take that problem and talk about it more to get more sales in the future. So what buying segment? All right. What follow-up sequence? We know that when we ask for the sale the first time, a lot of people jump on it, but fortune is in the follow-up. So what follow-up sequence seemed to recapture sales that if we hadn't have done that, then we would have lost sales? So which follow-up sequence? What referral source? So, the lady said that they do referrals. They've gotten referrals. That was both Chantilly and Shawana. And guess what? we need to know who is giving us more referrals than somebody else, or what event got us more referrals. Like if we're networking, what action did we take to get more referrals, and which referrals are giving us more revenue? Okay. Sales conversations. You need to pay attention to the conversations that you have. And it's not just overcoming sales objections. You need to know what you're saying that is working, where you're not getting any objections. You need to know what is the very conversation that you tend to have that ends in a sale almost every time. All right. Last but not least, promotion timing. Promotion timing. Promotion timing can be a revenue driver, but are you paying attention? Right? For example, my ideal client tends to be a mother, and she tends to be a very nurturing mother. And there are times of the year she's going to put her child first. So guess what's going to happen during that time of the year? She's not making any big purchases for herself or for her business at that time. So that could look like back to school. Okay, it can look like the top of summer. So do you know your promotion timing that works the best and that works the least? So we can know how to switch that thing up. Okay, so those are examples of revenue drivers. And so we're looking for what consistently happens before the money happens, because that's what drove to the money. All right. Cool beans. Let's go to number 2, which is going from historical data only to predictive revenue planning. I talked about forecasting. We're about to get into it, okay? Because we need to use patterns to forecast what we need before we need it, okay? If we look at historical data, we look over the past year, then we should see what are our ups and downs from last year. All right. And instead of this year having these same ups and downs, we need to plan for the downs. Sometimes it may mean putting a freeze on expenses, like going to bare minimum expenses during that downtime. But what it should mean is, what am I going to do to make money during the downtime to make that not a downtime? Okay. And we're going to use the data to say, oh, this is what worked last time. So we're going to put what worked here on this month that's usually a low month. All right. So this is where data starts taking much of the guesswork out of your revenue planning. So instead of saying, I want to make $20,000 next month, okay, you need to be asking yourself, based on what? Next level business reverse engineers that 20K by using your actual historical performance. So your data should be telling you approximately how many qualified opportunities you generate, what percentage become BOFU, bottom of the funnel, or people making a buying decision, what percentage book calls with you, those discovery calls, what percentage show up to the calls, okay, or show up to the webinar or the sales event, what percentage buy after that sales conversation. What is the average purchase value, right? So if you have your upsells, your cross sales, and all that going on, if you're bundling things instead of just having one offer, what is the average purchase value? Because it could be more than just the main offer. Also, what is the average time to purchase? What does that mean? That means from the time that you pitch your offer the first time and they hear about it to when they actually bought, what is that average length of time? Okay. And in that average length of time, you should be having follow-up things going on. So you should have pitched the offer. You should have urgency and a deadline with that offer. You should be every day nurturing them and reminding them of the urgency. So at what point do they buy? Do they buy right when you bring up the offer? Do they wait 24 hours? Do they wait 48 hours? Do they wait to the last 7th day? Like, you need to know how much time does it take for people to purchase this offer with the way you have your campaign set up, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards from that so that we can fulfill our revenue goals. I think this is the part that feels unreal to entrepreneurs when they set revenue goals and then they happen to make it or they happen not. This information, this data-driven revenue formula is what's going to help you hit those goals intentionally. It's no longer this magical thing that happens. So instead of saying, I need to sell more stuff, what you're going to do is say, at our current conversion performance, we need approximately this many qualified leads or opportunities to generate this many sales and reach our revenue goal. Okay. So Dr. Toya knows that she went on a podcast, and when she went on that podcast, she sold more of the book that they talked about in that podcast. So if she has a low month coming up, guess what she needs to do? Book a podcast and talk about a book or talk about an offer, right? This is how we turn what we know has happened into what we can make happen. All right, cool beans. So let's talk about some things that we need to do planning wise. We need to build revenue forecasting models, and that is use our historical data to forecast pipeline requirements. What needs to be in that pipeline and happen one after another to bring that money in, okay? How do opportunities need to exist to support the revenue target? We need to have sales requirements. That's how many transactions are required for us to hit this revenue goal. We need to have marketing requirements. How many qualified leads do we have to market to and get in front of to create the people that's actually going to buy, that's going to create the revenue goal? Okay, see how we're reverse engineering? Offer requirements. What combination of offers could reasonably produce the revenue goal? Now, see, this is where I talk to y'all about pricing. Because some of you guys have a main offer that is priced so low, you would have to sell 1 million of them just to hit your revenue goal. And you're not even considering that you're going to have to be in front of 10 million just to sell to 1 million. Okay, so let's look at the offer requirement. Last but not least, we're going to look at the timing requirement, which is in the time of year that you're trying to do this promotion and hit this revenue goal, is it a great time for your ideal client? Okay, so we need all of those things to come together to give us a better picture of what that revenue forecasting looks like. So that's how we build the model. All right, so let's go to number 3 in our next level formula. We want to go from data informed decisions. That doesn't mean we don't have them. That means we want to have them. And then also, based on those decisions, have revenue experimentation. So we can stop guessing what might improve, and we can just go out there and prove it, right? It's going to be less of a risk. This is a calculated risk. All right. So this is where you take your ideal client beyond. You've heard the word dashboard. Here's another phrase for you: KPIs. Key performance indicators. We want to go beyond those and take our ideal client into some things we think are going to work based on the data that we've got. Okay. So next level is treating revenue growth as a series of controlled business experiments. So instead of changing price, instead of changing the offer, your audience, your messaging, your funnel, your sales page, your content strategy, all at one time, we want to do isolated changes so that we know what to attribute the growth to or the failure to, okay? Don't change everything all at once. You don't know what's happening. This is especially true if you're going to run ads. If you run an ad and you want to A/B test and you want to change something based on the test, don't change everything. You change one thing at a time and give that one thing time to produce a result or not. Then you change something else, okay? So no changing all that stuff at once. We want to do it. We want to think about it, see which one we think is going to get us the most results, and then we start with those things one at a time based on that priority. All right. So what you want to do is you want to have a baseline. What is happening right now? Then you want to do an isolated change, not all the changes, an isolated change. Then you want to figure out what the success metric is. Did it improve? Did it not improve? But you want to do that across a testing period. So maybe it's a week, maybe it's 3 days. It depends on what you're doing, how much ad spend you got behind it, because the more ad spend you got behind something, the less time you need to kind of get results. But if you're going organic, you might need to give it a little while. So what is the testing period? And then you want to decide what is going to be your decision rule. Now, what does that mean? It means what result determines whether we keep going with this thing. Do we change it again, or do we just say, you know what, this ain't working, period? Like I'm not going to change anything else about it. I'm going to shut it down. So that's kind of the decision that you're making after you go through that process. Let me give you that process again. Baseline, what's happening right now? The change, what isolated change are we going to put forth? Then we want to know what is going to be the success metric. Is the success metric going to be more followers, more signups, or is it more revenue? And then we want to have a test period that we're running this test in. Is it going to be 3 days, a week, a month? How long is it going to be? Then we're going to make a decision rule. What's going to make us keep this thing? What's going to make us change it? And what's going to make us let it go? All right. So that is your decision. But you want to continuously test strategic questions when you're doing this process. Okay. So you want to ask, which call to action produced the most qualified leads, the most qualified inquiries into your business, your brand, that offer? Which lead source produced higher value buyers, right? So you got leads that are qualified to buy, you got leads that bought, then you have leads that bought more than others. So which leads bought more than others? They are the higher value buyers. Which content topics produce purchases rather than just engagement? That's important, right? We don't want to just be out here teaching people and connecting with people and then they don't buy. We want to know what are the exact topics that get them to buy, so that guess what? Next month we can talk about something like that again. What offer entry point produces the highest lifetime value? Okay. If you have an offer ladder, what could happen is people may come in the middle of your ladder and then they don't buy anything else. They don't step up. But maybe somebody that started at the bottom and then went to the middle and then went to the top, we're going to say not a better customer, but they have a higher lifetime value. They've spent more with you. They have been on a journey with you. They're probably going to end up being more of a super fan and get you more referrals. So you want to look at things like that. Not just did they buy, but what is the value, lifetime value of them having bought? And what does that look like? Does it look like they went all the way through the offer ladder? Does it look like they followed your content for a while before they ever bought? All of those things kind of matter, and we want to know what those things are. Next thing we want to know is what proof reduces sales hesitation. What proof reduces sales hesitation? I love my clients that talk about me on Facebook. Okay, because baby, once I get that screenshot, you cannot stop me, because the things that they say, they resonate with other CEOs. And so when my client came on and she said, I just hired her, I don't ever want her to leave me, now I finally can take a day off and don't worry about my business. That kind of testimonial, that kind of proof from somebody who is where somebody else wants to be and they understand that I am the connector. Your proof can reduce sales hesitation. All right. You want to know which follow-up timing increases decisions. Some of y'all may be following up, but are you following up timely? Right. So you might have talked to somebody about something today, and then you're like, well, I'm gonna give them 3 days before I say anything else. 3 days might be too long. You might have waited too late. They might be out of the energy and out of the urgency that they felt when they first talked to you. So you should be doing a lot of pushing within that first 24 hours, within the first 48 hours. And then you start to let loose at 72 hours, just kind of, nurturing a little bit. But you should have your timing of the follow-up down, okay? Which sales event creates the strongest bottom of funnel movement? That means, what type of sales event do you have that takes people straight to a buying decision? It does not make them feel like they need more information on your offer. It does not make them feel like they need more information on you. They just need you to answer questions so they can make sure it's a fit so they can buy now. What sales event does that for you? Okay. Last but not least, which pricing structure improves both your conversion and your overall revenue? Some of you got to play with the pricing psychology. Does it work better for your pricing to end in a 7 or a 9? Does it work better for your pricing structure to be that the offer that you want them to take be close to the offer that is higher than that, because you would rather them take the middle offer so they're priced kind of together? And then they say, oh, it just makes more sense for me to buy that one. Like, what kind of pricing structure and psychology is improving your conversion, which is increasing your revenue? All right. So we need to document all of that because we need to know. So let's go back over this. Your complete next level formula is you need to be going from reporting results to diagnosing revenue drivers, because we need to determine what is actually influencing our revenue. We need to go from historical data to predictive revenue planning because we need to be using patterns and conversion performance to reverse engineer that thing so that we know what to do in the future. All right. We need to go from data informed decisions to revenue experimentation because we need to systematically test what could improve our performance and build evidence around what works. All right. So I want y'all to stop being basic and I want you to go to the next level. Basic is just looking at lead data or collecting it, just having conversion metrics, just tracking your growth. Okay, that is all what is happening in my business. Next level is your revenue driver diagnosis, your predictive revenue planning, your revenue experimentation, and you're answering the question, why is it happening? What is likely to happen next? And what should I intentionally change to improve the outcome? All right, that's what we want to do. That's our next level. All right, ladies, I know y'all have gotten a lot. You got the show notes. So you guys, I said a lot. So if you want the show notes, you need to be in studio. So you need to be a trusted viewer. You need to be in our community so that you can get the link to join us in studio. And when you're in studio, you get the link to the show notes. Now, with the show notes and everything that we've said, I'm going to start with Shawana Kennedy Media. Is there any of these strategies that you use with success? What is the strategy you know you need to start using that will be a game changer? And do you have any obstacle to using that strategy?
No, no obstacle. You know, we work hard over here, and because we've been rocking with you, yeah, we doing what we need to do to keep this train moving on this track. You know, because trains don't be trying to back up. Trains keep going forward.
I love that. Trains don't need to back up. Okay, but which one do you feel like will be a game changer?
I mean, we know the fortune is in the follow-up, so you're right.
Okay.
I was listening when you said that even with some recent engagement, and again, when you're saying different things and you're going down the checklist of what you should be doing, it
Yes.
was running me back through what was I doing in those first 24, 48, 72 hours. So like I I replayed that stuff back in my head to see if those were the things that were happening. Yeah, and then sometimes, you know, even when you do that, for some people it's still not, I won't even say not the right time, because actually in this case, one of the two out of the two, they were saying that it wasn't necessarily even the price. It was more or less of their budget at this time. So, and they even went so far as to say it's not a no, it's a not right now. And so you
Okay.
can appreciate that when you are nurturing people and doing different things. So yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we can appreciate that, but what we're also going to do is go right into the cost of inaction, right? We go right into return on investment. So, you know, the Alex Hormozy thing is whatever they're giving you as the reason as why they can't is the same reason why they should right now. I can't afford it. No, you can't afford to wait. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the thing. Because at the end of the day, what we understand is not only do people buy emotionally, but they invest in whatever the hell they want to invest in.
This is
They just
true.
have to see the value in it. And so when you get that type of objection, you simply have to help them make a buying decision now by showing them return on investment and the cost of inaction. And
So you
so
know, y'all
you
y'all
don't even
know
have
whoever
to.
listening at this, y'all can be cracking up because y'all know straight away a new tab is opening up. And that's what's finna be that follow-up to that follow-up. Amen, y'all. Amen.
Yeah, so you can you know, you started out to make sure that they feel heard. You can say, yes, I understand that. You can even go into anecdotes, you know what I'm saying, that storytelling. I've had a client that you know, she was not sure about the budget for it. She had so much going on. You know, the kids just went back to school and all the things, and she just wasn't sure about investing in something like that right now. She wanted to wait until a time that she was kind of sure. But what I had to help her to realize was in that time that she's waiting till she's going to be sure and feel more sure, there's really never a sure time. But while she's waiting, she's consistently having this same problem. And if we could solve that problem, then that problem brings in most of this revenue that she's thinking is going to make her ready to invest. But her investment is going to give her the return that she was looking for to be at the revenue that she wanted to be. You kind of see that? And so, yeah, in that follow up, I love that. But I think that's when you need to have different content for different sales objections. So even if you're not talking to them in the same conversation, the follow-up emails are filled with that content that eats at that sales objection. Does that make sense?
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
And
Yeah,
it
because the cost of
also is
inaction. Yeah.
why it's important for you to do that closer to the time that you talk to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So not 3 days later, not 5 days later, instantly. Like soon as you get off the call, send an email and then have another one come 24 hours and another one 24 hours after that. And we need to keep hitting them. Keep hitting them. So yeah, that was awesome.
Okay,
Let's
good.
go to Chantilly. Chantilly, have you used any of these strategies with success? Which one do you know you need to use that is going to be game changing? And do you have any obstacle to that game changing use?
I think I'm successful at doing the research and looking at the analytics and but you said we're moving away from just knowing it. So that is what I'm good at. What I need to get better at is the strategy to bring them to life. Because always trying to find the perfect strategy, and then that's where I get stuck at trying to find the perfect strategy to take action on what the analytics are telling me to do when I just need to do something. So that's where I think that you giving us all these categories, that helps on the decision making process. And it was something that you said that I was thinking about doing last month, but I need to go ahead and do this month. And I don't remember which category it was under, but it was social proof.
Yes.
And that's what I need to do. That's what I believe would be helpful for me right now.
Most definitely. So
Yeah.
the first thing I want to say is inaction is going to cost you. So don't be
Yeah.
trying to perfect stuff. Get out there and do some stuff because perfection only comes after execution.
Right.
So if
Right.
you're not doing anything, there's no way for you to perfect it. And if you're using
Mhm.
the data, then you're already doing a calculated risk. It's not just a full out risk. So do it. In the words of
Mhm.
Nike, just do it. And
Yeah.
then let the data tell you what to change or when to stop.
Yeah.
The second part is with that social proof. You should be screenshotting every time somebody tell you something great, whether it be an email, whether it be in a chat, whether it be on social media, but also when you have people on video and you're discussing with them, maybe you're telling them what changes you made, maybe you're reporting to them what's happening next. Start
Mhm.
asking as a part of you already being on that video with them, what's working for them, what are they enjoying about the service, what value are they getting out of it so far. Ask those questions every time you get them on video, and guess what? You can pull that out of the one-on-one you just had with them as video social proof.
Okay.
If they are the type of people that come to the meeting looking busted and broke down, you don't want to use the video. Extract the audio and use a cute
Audio.
picture of them on a sound wave. You see what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you need to be asking and building it up. Don't just wait to the end to ask, because some people don't get back with you.
Okay.
Ask all along the way
Okay.
and at the end. In fact, this is why I tell people that they need a offboarding meeting. Even if that offboarding meeting is not even, the value of it is not even just telling them what all you did or whatever. The value of it is going to be capturing on video and audio what they enjoyed about the service, what they're excited about in their next level because they did the service, all those things, instead of sending out a
Mhm.
survey that people ignore, sending out a request for them to record something, because people love you and they mean well, but they're busy. Catch them while you got them.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool
That's
beats.
good. That's good.
Let's go to Dr. Toya. Dr. Toya, which strategy are you using with success right now? Which one are you going to add as a game changer? And do you have an obstacle to that game changing strategy?
Yeah, I think I'm really good at looking at the data and the conversion metrics and just figuring out what's working, what's not working, and shifting those things based on that. what I would like to implement is the revenue experimentation. And I mentioned that like before when I was saying there's a particular offer that just keeps selling. And I'm like, wait, I think I can start playing with these numbers a little bit. But I was only thinking of it for that particular funnel. But now I realize that I need to look at it kind of across a large, basically the whole suite of offers and pricing, and start to figure out what works and how I can adjust to maximize income.
I love that. I love that because that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing, right? And sometimes we have an offer ladder and something in that offer ladder starts selling better than the other things. And we understand that maybe we need another offer ladder where we focus on that one thing being the main thing because the other main thing isn't performing as well. So all of that information is important. And I love that for you. All right, guys. This has been a great day. Another great make it make sense conversation, taking you to your next level. So what I want you guys to know is that this thing that we do on Wednesdays, this live, this Make It Make Sense live, it's an interactive business discussion. It's just one part of our free First Six Figures Business Mastermind community. And that community, a part of it is right here on YouTube. I position Black and brown female online service-based entrepreneurs to generate your first six figures by teaching you how to make the money to fund your lifestyle of freedom by shifting you from basic strategies to next level formulas. All right. Cool. This is part of a week-long discussion that we're going to get back started with, but it ain't going to be this week either. But usually what we do is we have questions on Tuesdays. We have the live discussion on Wednesdays. We have a case study on Thursday, and then we take you back to the foundation of basic information on Friday in case you weren't ready for the next level. And we're going to get back started on that soon. Baby, just hang in there with me. Hang in there with me. But you got value this time, so make sure you give us a thumbs up and like the episode. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss a thing. All right? See you next week. All right, ladies.